Hello, everybody, and welcome to Encounters USA with author Matthew Hines. If you're looking for alien incidents, Bigfoot brouhahas, or dogman dealings, we have the podcast interviews, field research, and field interviews you're gonna love. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and check us out on Patreon. Now, on with the show. All right, everybody, last interview of the day. I'm sitting here with Mr. Clifford Mahoody. Clifford, are you a chief? Do I need to acknowledge a title or anything?
No, I'm just a simple person.
Oh yeah, a simple person, a very humble, simple person. Now, Clifford is here at the Paranormal Summit in Ocean Shores because he is talking about his experiences with UFOs, and he is a member of the Zuni Nation. So, first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Zuni? Now, the Zuni live in
New Mexico.
Okay, and part of the Zuni Tribe, or?
Well, they are termed the same as ethnologists call them their Pueblo people, but the Zuni are very separate as a group. They have their own language. The Zuni is not spoken anywhere on the planet, and they have rituals that are so refined and so I guess you might say well structured, and it's very complex, but at the same time it's very simple. It's kind of hard to explain what it is. But you know, the Zuni people, the population now is about maybe 15,000, and they have a long history of being there, that they were actually sent there to their promised land, if you want to call it that. So right now we have still a system in place, but it's like anywhere else, it's deteriorating because of outside influence.
By the white man, by Western culture, and et cetera. And really it's more of a consumer, more of a consumer culture.
Well, if you look at in terms of factors, it's not so much as the white man or the external forces. It also has to do with internal, because you learn from the little dog always learns from the big dog. I'm talking about the big dog being the government. So we have learned, we were taught a long time ago, throughout, let's say, the last 300-400 years, that the term "white is right" has always been the name of the game. Because they were so scared when the white man first came in there, so that they would not even listen to their own leaders of how to conduct themselves. And so they were so scared, and that's where they had this divide and conquer. So we're still going through that.
Right. Yeah, so Clifford, you're here talking about experiences with UFOs, and I just want to clarify, because I go a little bit more into I don't want to say ethnography, but the Zuni are not related to the Apache.
No.
The Apache are Athabascan, are of Athabascan language group. Are the Zuni more related to people from Mexico?
No.
So in your presentation, and I've heard this before, you talk about the Zuni being ant people.
Well, it's not so much that, and you know, that theory is the last catastrophe when they went underground, and it's sort of a romanticized version of many writers. And they say that when they were inside the earth after the catastrophes, earthquakes, floods, and that type of thing, they were raised by a race that looked like ant people, or the insectoids, and they were underground. So when you're underground for a long time, your physiology changes, your conduct changes, because there's no there's nowhere to go, and so it's been locked up in solitary confinement type thing. So the theory is that when they were inside of the earth, somebody had to take care of them, which was the intervention by what we call the star people or the other races of people that took care of them. They felt like it was their duty to save the human race from extinction. So they got adopted in a way. And so when finally after it settled down, when they came out here, back to the Earth's surface, then they were given certain systems to come into the new world and how to conduct themselves.
Okay.
And so not only from the internal beings, because they're everywhere. Of course, the star people in the galactic orders and God knows how many other systems out there in the universe. But they're all a combination.
Okay, so are the people that, well, okay, so let's go back to this catastrophe. What was the catastrophe?
Well, it's based upon, the term is basically that the turning over of the Earth on its axis. And you can see this in
a pole shift.
It's a pole shift. If you look at some of the past history, that has been proven. You know, the giant mammals, they got the vegetation in their mouths and they were instantly frozen. You go down to if you look at the Piri Reis map of Antarctica, at one time was a tropical zone.
Exactly.
And so when it flipped over, it did not do it by stages. It was like immediate.
Yep.
But it was done by an external force like a comet or a planet passing by, or it shifted the magnetic, something that disturbed the magnetic stability. It flipped it over, and we all have that in our history. All the Pueblo people, and so they have that in their history. This is why that was a third world. And if you look at the other things, you know, like technology, you look at Atlantis, you look at Lemuria, they advanced themselves to the point where they started using the higher order physics, and it got out of control. And they were actually using a lot of advanced sciences to come, you know, and make hybrids, to make machinery, but so they overloaded themselves and they exploded themselves up. Lemuria went first, Atlantis, I mean, there's so many histories. The only problem in this case is that the history files were destroyed by conquering nations. And the biggest one was the Vatican. The Vatican, and then right behind there was the Smithsonian. And after that, now it's the United States government. There's flying saucers and storages all over the place. There's certain giants that are still probably down in the Smithsonian.
Right. Yeah, and you know, Clifford, we cover all of that stuff on Encounters USA.
Yeah.
We cover the giants. I talked to Brian Forster a few months ago about apparently they've got alien skulls in Peru.
Oh yes.
And the government is saying, well, they're not saying anything. They're saying it's not true. But so basically, correct me if I'm wrong. Christianity, Western civilization, one God, only man and the universe. And then we have the natives saying, wait a minute, no, that's not right. And then suddenly you've got Western civilization accepting aliens, and Native Americans are going, yeah, duh, guys, we've known this all along.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on here?
That is correct.
So you're here to teach us now.
Well, as I said many times, I am not an expert in everything. All I'm doing is using the information that was passed on by my grandmothers, my grandfathers, my elders, and it's all in the prayers, it's all in the chants, the songs, the rituals, and ceremony. That's all it is that information that is cyclically presented. The only problem in this case is that they don't know how to stop, look, and listen. I'm going through a lot of different ostracism right now. And he said, well, you're talking about secret stuff that you're talking to the white man all day. I said, hey, go over there, listen to the prayers. It's all there. And so it's kind of ridiculous because we still have that information, but nobody's paying attention.
So, go ahead, sir.
The leadership of, it's just like the United States government. I don't care what branch, military, it's become that they put the wrong people in those positions that are supposed to carry on there. They got the wrong people running the show, and that they were recruited to destroy them. And I'm not just saying this, I'm just not making this up, because I was involved with this at high levels.
They're the wrong people for us, but they're the right people for them.
Oh yeah.
Because they're looking for control.
Well, look at the Indian reservations. What they call the Indian Reorganization Act. There's only one group. It's called the Bureau of Indian Affairs under the Department of Interior. There's only one person that they set up on the reservation, and they also, it's just like the rest of the United States government, you know how they go into foreign countries. They eliminate the dictators and put their own guys in there. Or it's the same old game.
Yeah.
So now all the Indian tribes, the latest thing that's happened is the gambling. So that's when I was in the environmental justice person for all Indian tribes, I warned them about these things. But you know, greed supersedes anything.
Yeah. But what was your warning?
I told them do not accept these things because, first of all, we haven't conquered poverty, alcoholism, domestic violence, even the day-to-day operations of running our own tribe. You look at it's like third world nation. Now you want to throw in another factor, which is gambling. They say a lot of tribes, you can go in the casino, first of the month. They take grandma to the casino. There's
native students?
Native
oh,
students.
Wow. Okay.
See, I was quite involved with it because in the process of setting up any government building, project, or whatever, they have to have an EPA procedure called the environmental assessment. After that is the environmental impact statement. And this is where everybody comes in. Even those people that are not there anymore, but they were known in their history guide. Good example is the XL pipeline. How many tribes have been going through that forever? You have to take all of this, but they never had that. So it's a government overruling that person that they put in power on the Indian reservation. He's just a rubber stamp. And then he drives the cattle. You know, in his immediate family, you know, they got money. Because once the Indian tribe gets the money, there's no control because of sovereignty. So,
wow, well, that's a, you know, it's a different aspect of it, and I'm sure the argument was there that this is going to benefit us, so we're going to see money we never saw before. So
no.
I could see that argument, but you were against it, and you think, okay, well, let's not even go into the gambling part. You're talking about ceremonies. You're talking about basically you're setting your soul right by doing the ceremonies, by doing the chants, by doing the drums and all that. And you say that your people have lost their way. They've lost that.
Yes, they have.
And is there some what have they lost it to? I mean, have they completely adopted white culture and this is where I say this, or why I say this. I think that over the millennia, you survived as a people because of the things that you did, and psychologists would call it behavioralism, whatever. But these things helped you to survive. And once you threw those out, you no longer have. If most Catholics were to say, "Oh, I don't believe in Jesus anymore," Well, they don't have a base. They don't have a base for even being.
Right.
So is that's what is happening to our native?
Well, it's based upon greed. When you are in a mode on the Indian reservations, when they made Indian reservations, they took away the incentive of people to cooperate with each other because they provided money.
Capitalism.
Capitalism.
Okay.
Colonization.
Well, that was not capitalization. That was dependency.
Yes.
Yeah.
They make them look at what's happening right now. The American Indians did not have they did not have the right to vote until the first election was Kennedy. And Kennedy was a Catholic. So they forced all the Indian tribes to say, you got to vote for Kennedy. So they all became Democrats. I think there's right now maybe about 90% of all Indian tribes are registered Democrats.
Wow.
Because of the promise. If you look at the war on poverty it's actually Kennedy's program carried out by Johnson. Sergeant Schreiber, his brother-in-law was in charge of that war on poverty. We spent over $1 trillion. And it's still poor.
Yeah, to do what?
But now they want to throw more money. The ones that are running, like Bernie and Joe Biden and all those others, they want to throw more money in there. Oh, that's going to solve the problem. But what it is that they want more money so they can give it to their buddies. And the Indians still broke. I mean, they're still poor.
Yep.
So they have to wake up.
Yeah.
And the only way they can wake up is to educate themselves.
Okay.
Get rid of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We don't need those guys.
So, why aren't you the leader of the Zuni Tribe? Why?
Because
Your message is not welcome?
no. Because it takes a lot of work to get educated.
Yeah.
You got to compete. And so, see, here's the thing about it is that my grandfathers and my grandmothers and my elders said, you go out there and you get educated. You come back and you help us fight these battles or this war that we're going on. Well, it took me close to almost 7 years to get educated. I came back home and everything changed. I came home after I retired. They said, now I'm here. I said, get out of here. So it's, I don't care. There's a lot of people in the audience here that are professional people. When I go to these meetings, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have engineers, scientists in the audience. We were all ostracized. It don't make any difference what tribe it is.
Yeah.
So they created that, the government created that to fight among each other, divide and conquer again.
Yep. So when you go out and you study in the white man's world, you become an engineer, then you come back, and are people not proud of you for? No, that's just amazing.
It's a jealousy factor.
Okay.
The steam formation that we're recording right now, they're gonna look at it as a negative. There he goes again. He's selling his tribe out. He's selling his. They don't realize the jobs that I've had that I have fought the government.
Yeah.
But they don't want to learn because they're comfortable sitting over there waiting for somebody to give them free. That's why they're going to vote for Bernie, because Bernie's going to give everything free.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, there's nothing to give. We don't have any more money. We're 24 trillion in debt.
Well,
There's nothing
by the time,
free to give.
No, but by the time if they go through what they're planning, and that's why they're trying to get rid of Trump, because he tells it like it is. And if you look at their program, it's $100 trillion.
Yeah.
There's
There's just no way. It's
No
all
way.
it's all pie in the sky stuff. So, Clifford, the last thing that I like to ask you now. You're here and you're touching on the UFO question. We do aliens, Bigfoot, and Dogman. So at some point in the future, I'd really like to get you on my podcast, if that would be possible.
Oh, absolutely.
So, do you have contact with? I know the Kachinas are actually Hopi, right? Are they part of the Zuni tribe also?
They're in every group.
Okay. But those are aliens. The Kachina are alien representations. No.
Well, they represent the alien people, but they're actually, if you listen to my lecture, it's the humans taking on the role of the alien because they made a truce way back when, and one of the reasons is abductions.
Yeah.
The Kachi, which what later became the Kachina people, were actually the ETs that used to come to the Indian world in their form, the alien form. And say, well, what did they look like? And I tell this little story about, you remember the first Star Wars movie with the bar scene?
Yeah.
They were all different types, you know. There's one alien that drinks acid, you know, and there's, you know, these eyes are over here. So, no, this is what I have done a lot of research on. So.
Okay. Well, I think that we have just about exhausted our time with Clifford. Thank you so much. He just did like an hour with Ted over there, right? So you must be a little bit tired. Well, I really appreciate you coming and spending time with us, Clifford, and we're going to bring him back onto our podcast as soon as we can because we need to talk about Dogman. We need to talk about Bigfoot and how those guys are incorporated into your culture. And I saw some of the artwork that you taken pictures of in your presentation. It's fantastic, just amazing. So I want to hear all about it.
Okay, well, here's what we're having. We're having the first summit in Window Rock, Arizona, on the last weekend in March, which is 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're going to be presenting paranormal, skinwalkers, Dogman, Wolfman, whatever it is.
Well, you gotta come on my podcast.
Well, you know, if you can make it over there, it's sort of schedule.
There's no way I can make it down there.
Well, you know, we're gonna. I'll let you know if we can communicate somehow.
Yeah, we will. We definitely will.
Yeah, maybe Skype or whatever.
Yeah. So you're on Facebook and all that stuff.
No, I don't.
No.
I don't
How
believe
do I contact you?
You got my card.
Do I?
I got people that do that type of work. I'm handicapped when it comes down to.
Well, we're gonna have to figure something out.
No,
You're gonna
no,
have to
no.
get on my Skype or Zoom or something. So.
I got both of them, so I got both Skype and Zoom. So but anyway, that's what we're doing, and the Navajo Nation is putting it on. The two Navajo Rangers, they've talked here before.
I've seen them.
Yes,
yeah.
they've been here to this conference.
Yeah.
John and what's his name?
Yeah, that is so amazing. You know, okay, so before we go, Clifford, I just want to tell you why this is so important, because we're coming from basically the Western model of things, and obviously we're getting shocked into a reality that we don't really understand. And so it's so ironic that we have to come to the natives to tell us how things really are. So, and just so you know, my philosophical background, I'm Mormon, you know, raised Mormon, LDS, and so we have different beliefs that are more like yours than the Western tradition.
Well, you know, I as I said in my meeting all day, there's over 110,000 religions in the world. But I think that we because religion is an invention by man. But if we kind of let those things just set aside here and look at the real things that we are concerned about this today. I mean, there's nothing wrong with religion. There's nothing wrong with your belief system. But we got to look at what is the main issue right now in terms of the balance of mankind with other forces, especially the dark force people. We have a lot of those. And you can see it every day. You turn on any news channel, the dark force people, when I look at them and I say, why can people not see these guys? because we've been programmed.
Yeah, you need to read one of my books. Okay. All right, Clifford, well, thank you very much. And we will have you back on the podcast and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Okay.
It's such an honor to meet you, and you're such a great man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on Encounters USA. Remember, if you have comments, please leave them in the comments section on YouTube and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell while you're at it. Don't forget, if you'd like to be a guest on Encounters USA, just send us an email at encountersusa1@gmail.com and just put podcast guest in the subject line. Now, please remember that all of the guests' opinions on Encounters USA are their own, and they do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the podcast host nor the podcast sponsors. So thank you, and don't forget, when you're out in the woods looking for aliens, Bigfoot, or Dogman, always watch your back.